Welcome to Studio One on this Thursday, April the 23rd. I'm Tom Gearing, and joining us today will be Lion Tamer Safari Pete Woods. We'll also talk with Kelley, a member of the executive staff at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And on our Open Doors segment, we'll meet the newest voice of the Minnesota Twins, radio and TV announcer John Gordon. But first we go to the news desk with Lynn Shocker and Courtney Bateman. Courtney?
Thank you, Tom. The doors are open, but problems remain at the Native American Cultural Center.
The center, located on the UND campus, was the site of a lock-in by disgruntled Indian students yesterday. The protest was triggered by ideological differences within the Indian programs. Some students feel the programs don't reflect traditional Indian values. UND President Thomas Clifford will meet with the Indian Association tonight in the Memorial Union in hopes of settling the problems.
Lansford, North Dakota went national last night. The entire graduating class of Lansford High School appeared on Johnny Carson. All 6 of them, all of them women. The all-girl class wrote to Carson after seeing a show 2 months ago that featured 6 boys from Washington in the same situation. They wanted to meet the boys. The girls got their wish when the 6 knights came from the audience bearing carnations. When asked the hardest part of going to a small school, they said, finding a prom date.
The centerpiece in Wall Street's insider trading scandal pleaded guilty today to 1 count of violating federal securities laws. Ivan Boesky has agreed to cooperate with federal investigators in implicating others in the scandal, which has led to demands for reform in the securities industry. Boesky has already agreed to pay a $100 million penalty to settle one of the charges. He faces up to a 5 years in prison sentence and a $250,000 fine. Sentencing is scheduled for August 21st.
Some American physicists are saying SDI research is about 10 years ahead of its time. The American Physics Society says a decade or more of research is needed to determine if lasers and other devices can work in a Star Wars defense plan. The physicists say deployment plans should not be accelerated, and the quality of even the most promising weapons needs to be improved at least 100 times before they could be used as an anti-missile defense system. Tom?
Thank you, Courtney. Lynn? Studio One continues after this with a look at the weather plus much more, so stay with us.
Studio One is sponsored by JCPenney, located in Columbia Mall. Smarter than ever, JCPenney.
I'm Eric Dickerson, and I'm going to show you something that could save your life. Now, say these footballs are your lungs. Every time you smoke, you can damage your lungs with every puff. Day after day, year after year, your lungs can get more and more damaged until finally, they may not breathe at all. Your lungs could end up useless. So don't smoke. Keep your lungs full of clean, fresh air. Take care of your lungs. They're only human.
The American Lung Association, the Christmas Seal people.
All this week on Audiophilia, the Manhattan Transfer.
Taxi, cooler, cousin, and Shivovaroo, we're ready to show you some blowing. Around the next stop, it is a lot of fun for brothers who are blowing our horns. So settle down and listen, cause you don't know what you're missing, and we're ready to give you a showing. Think of that and get a load of water, tell you what this place is. No one knows it, there's no traces of the kind of place it was before it got discovered by the kind of guy that knows the earth belongs to him. They call him Rambo.
On Audiophilia, all this week on NCTV.
Welcome back. Still up ahead on this edition of Studio One, we'll talk with Lion Tamer Safari Pete Woods, also an executive assistant to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Kelley, and John Gordon, broadcast voice for the Minnesota Twins, will be the focus of our Open Door segment. In the meantime, meteorologist Pam Coonan is here to fill us in on the weather. Pam?
Thank you, Tom. At 4 o'clock in Grand Forks, we had a temperature of 60 degrees. Our relative humidity was 22%, and our winds were northerly at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Yesterday's national extremes ranged from 99 degrees at San Bernardino, California, to 20 degrees at Gunnison, Colorado. With no significant weather systems affecting the Southwest, this area will continue to be hot and dry. This morning at 7 a.m., a low-pressure system was over Lake Ontario, with a frontal system extending southward to a low in Georgia. The system has produced some light rain in the eastern Great Lakes region. Another low-pressure system was over northern Indiana, with a trough of low pressure extending into central Oklahoma. This system also has produced some light rain and some light fog. A cold front extends southward from a low in the Hudson Bay area into central South Dakota. It then becomes stationary and extends westward into the Pacific. A low-pressure system will develop tonight in this region in the Pacific Northwest, and this portion of the front will develop into a warm front, and this portion will develop into a cold front. This system will move eastward and will move into our region by tomorrow morning. I'll be back later with tomorrow's forecast and a weekend outlook. Tom?
Okay, thank you, Pam. If you're looking to add some variety to the weekend, fun for the whole family as Kim Temple's 42nd Shrine Circus pulls in with a 4 and 8 p.m. show tomorrow, 3 shows on Saturday and two Sunday performances, all of those at the Hislop Sports Center. And when we come back, a look at circus life under the big tent world of Lion Tamer Safari Pete Woods.
Some of you want jobs, and you come here to learn a skill. Some of you want college, and you join the Air National Guard for the new GI Bill and bonus money. But no matter what kind of training you want, I make everybody the same deal. You give me 2 days a month and 15 days a year. Come here ready to work, ready to learn. And I'll teach you a lesson you'll never forget. Fair enough?
Maybe someone you know or even love uses cocaine and you still haven't told them how badly you feel about it. Well, there's no more time to look the other way. Cocaine and crack are addictive and they kill. Please, don't be a part of the silent lie that says cocaine's okay. Speak from your heart and help save a life.
Cocaine, the big lie. Call 1-800-662-HELP.
Welcome back to Studio One. If you've ever wondered what the other extreme of an 8 to 5 desk job is like, you'd want to meet our next individual. We have with us Lion Tamer Safari Pete Woods, who comes from 4 generations of circus life living. That's 4 generations. That's about the only life that you've known then,
That's all I know. It's the only life.
Is circus life similar to maybe farm life in the sense that you know nothing else in terms of growing up with one lifestyle?
That's right. It's just like farming. You grow up with it, you don't know anything else.
And your father, what role did your father play in the circus?
My father was a wild animal trainer, horses, elephants, animals like that, bears.
And you are specialized in what area?
I'm specialized in cats, the big cats, lions and tigers.
Is that true about circus life tamers, with animal tamers? Do they specialize with particular animals? Could you work with a bear? Could you work with other animals?
It depends on your interests. And you have to have a certain skill to work with these animals, and a lot of knowledge. You can't just go in and do it cold.
What type of knowledge and what type of skill does it take to work with a lion?
You have to anticipate what they're going to do. You have to read inside their head and figure out what they're going to do next. A lot of the training is done by repetition and kindness and reward system.
You have to have a level of respect, though, going into those situations with the animals. Is that right?
All the time. You have to stay away from them because you know they're going to get you. I've got scars to prove it.
Do you? That job is never secured then, that you're out of any type of danger. You are always vulnerable to those situations.
I might not come out of that cage tomorrow night. Nobody knows.
And that doesn't bother you?
I've grown up with it. You accept it. I like working with the shrine circuses and being involved with the children's hospitals and things like that. And that's my type of life.
Do you find that in working with lions that you develop somewhat of a tolerance to fear?
You have to. You can't show your fear. If you go in there and you're scared, they sense it right away.
And what type of reaction would they get? Can you correct it instantly?
No. We did Circus of the Stars with George Segal 2 years ago, and we had a couple more stars try out first, and we got into a lot of problems because of the fear type thing.
What was it like working with your dad? I'm sure you served as an apprentice, going into a cage or going into that type of situation. What was that like for you as a little boy?
You always think it's great, and you see it from the outside. But when you first step into that cage, into that first step, it's a big step. You think twice.
Now, have you ever had, or do you have, your basic, average, simple domestic cat?
No, we don't. You can't. The big cats catch a disease from little cats. They can pick them up in the street, and to replace a big cat takes a lot of time, a lot of expense.
You personally then have never had a little household cat?
No.
Would they bore you?
No. Animals they're doing something different all the time.
Now, Pete, you're not just restricted to working with the lions. A circus is a wonderful thing, and I think few people, I was very ignorant of what is involved in putting a circus together. There are many individual, independent acts that work together, is that right?
People don't realize the work that goes into putting the show together. There's the booking agents that get the performers together. There's the producers that produce the shows for the shrine circuses or whatever. And the individual performers, and they're all independent. They all travel all over the country. And you very seldom run into one another, maybe once, twice a year.
And yet you're able to put a circus together that is fluid and it works together
Oh,
well.
yes, a very good circus.
And you must be professional in that business, because I would assume not knowing each other and kind of coming in together with that element of danger, that's risky business.
You have to be professional. You can't just go into it cold. When the light comes on and the band starts up, it's all professional.
Is there a decline in popularity with circus? Are we finding in an age of high-tech sophistication and entertainment, is the circus life kind of being forgotten?
No, it's not. No, circus is the only type of entertainment that's never been censored. And since the television came in, you're getting more of the movies, but there's a lot of circuses going on that you don't see over the medium. Every town, or good-sized town, has a circus at least once a year.
What captivates people when they go to a circus? They are familiar with animals through the zoo. They've seen all kinds of different things. People down the street, different sized people, they can get that just looking down the block. What is it about a circus that draws people?
It's the lights, it's the music, it's the clowns, it's the kids with cotton candy. It's a great life. It's nice. I like to see the little kids when they come to a circus. Their face lights up and their eyes shine, and that's circus.
That brings you the most fulfillment about it?
That's the best part.
Does a lion tamer have goals in life?
Well, I don't know whether I do or not. I like to entertain people. Maybe one of these days when I retire, I might become a guy like yourself and interview people on TV.
Good, good. We need more of those.
That's good.
What is it like for a lion tamer? How do you view yourself as a performer, as an entertainer, as a manager? What?
And as a truck driver, and as a booking agent, and as a guy shoveling cages out and putting sawdust in. And that's all part of show business. It's not just being in front of the big lights. There's a lot to do besides. We drove 1,400 miles up here, and that's part of show business too.
Safari Pete Woods, we thank you for your time.
Nice to be with you.
We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Safari Pete Woods here for the Shrine Circus. Studio One continues after this. Welcome back to Studio One. It's 14 minutes past the hour. Unlike previous springs, baseball is a pleasurable topic these days as the Minnesota Twins are finding early success in their 1987 season. They field a new look with the addition of manager Tom Kelley and acquisitions that supply aggressive base running and late-inning pitching. And even up in the broadcast booth is a new but now familiar voice for the Minnesota Twins. Our Open Doors segment features radio TV announcer John Gordon. Among the new additions this year for the 1987 Twins include pinstripe uniforms, new turf, new logo, a new manager, and of course John Gordon, a new announcer. John, you've come from New York. How long were you in New York?
5 years, Tom. I worked with the Yankees from 1982 through 1986. And then I had been with the Yankee Farm Club in Columbus, Ohio for 4 seasons prior to that. So
and
really affiliated, well, 7 years with the Yankees.
And then prior to that?
Oh, I'd work in various spots. I worked in Baltimore, some with the Orioles. And then in baseball, I had started in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Worked in the Western Carolinas League back in the 60s and did some university work. I worked with the University of Virginia for a while at Charlottesville, did football and basketball there.
There are few that get the opportunity of being in the booth at Yankee Stadium. There've got to be some memorable moments.
Yeah, I'll never ever forget the first opportunity of broadcasting a game at Yankee Stadium. I kept wondering if it was ever going to come. In 1982, the Yankees broke spring training, and they broke from New Orleans. They had played a weekend series in New Orleans, and I went home to Columbus to pick up my wife and family, and we had an off day on Monday, and we were to open the season on Tuesday. And I was to be at the Meet the Yankee banquet on Monday night, and we drove from Columbus leaving that Monday morning, and we did not make it in time, but we just got into New Jersey, and where the team and the players were staying in New Jersey about 8 o'clock, and the banquet started at 8, so we did not make the welcome home dinner. But that evening, about 9 o'clock, it started to snow. And they had one of the worst blizzards that they've ever had in New York, New Jersey. The game was postponed on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then the series with Texas was totally wiped out. Then the games with Chicago were wiped out on Friday and Saturday, and they finally opened the season on Sunday with a doubleheader. I mean, I think it's the first time in the history the Yankees had ever opened the season with a twin bill. And I didn't think the season was ever going to start, but that was, without question, the most memorable moment I think I ever had in broadcasting a Yankee game. And then I think, too, the fact that the '82 season, the Yankees were not in the pennant race, but they were in '83, they were in '85 and '86, and being a part of a pennant race with the Yankees and with any ball club for that matter really brings about a number of thrills.
And what drew you to Minnesota?
Well, I had been working with the Yankees, and we had a number of broadcasters. We had almost as many broadcasters as we did team members. Phil Rizzuto, Bill White, Spencer Ross, Bobby Mercer, Mickey Mantle, Mel Allen, Jim Cott. The list seems to go on and on and on. And I was doing pregame, postgame shows and doing some play-by-play. But the opportunity to come to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and to come to the Minnesota Twins is really going to give me an opportunity to broaden my broadcast work. I'm going to do radio and television. I'll work play-by-play with Herb Carneal on radio. I'll work play-by-play on television with Harmon Killebrew. I'll have more of an opportunity for broadcast work with the Minnesota Twins than I had with the Yankees.
You're the eyes for thousands of people that will never see the game. Do you have to have a trained eye to observe the unusual or the unique?
Well, I don't know if it's the unusual or the unordinary, but I think it's a constant reminder that what you're broadcasting or what you're seeing is what you're trying to relay to the listener. So you try to paint that picture. I guess you live by a rule of thinking or trying to relay what's happening in a baseball broadcast to the listener, put him in the ballpark, making sure that his seat, be it in the bleachers, his seat be it behind third base, his seat be it a box seat, is what he is really trying to see from a standpoint of a baseball game. So that's what you work most to. You try to bring the ballpark, the ball game, what's happening to to the listener, be it that listener in a car or mowing his lawn or just sitting bedside and listening to a ball game. I think the one thing that you start with, and it really doesn't relate to baseball as much as it does to other broadcasting events, because there is no clock in baseball. But you live by a cardinal rule of broadcasting a game or a sporting event, and that's time and score. Well, there is no time to relay as far as baseball is concerned, but you do want to tell them what the inning is. You want to recap as quickly and as in capsule form as much as you can, and then you want to give the score. I mean, people are tuning in to find out who's winning and who's losing, and in most cases, the people that are tuning in are trying to find out if their Twins are winning or losing. I always wanted to play. I was a decent player in high school. I went to school at Indiana University on a baseball scholarship. And at the time when I went to school, I had an opportunity to sign a professional contract with the Baltimore Orioles or to go to school on a baseball scholarship. Well, I felt it was important for me to get an education, and another thing that I knew that I was very marginal. I like to say when I was 18 years of age, I was in the twilight of a mediocre career, and that was probably more truthful than anything that happened to me in my athletic career. And soon, following 2 years of playing baseball in Indiana, I realized that it was time for me to to hang up the glove, and fortunately, I don't know why, I don't know how it came about, the good Lord, I guess, just led me into broadcasting baseball, and I've been interested in doing broadcast work ever since then.
Were you the kind of boy that used to turn down the sound on TV and do a little play-by-play?
I even did a little bit more than that, Tom. I was born and raised in Detroit, and I used to go down to Tiger Stadium all the time. And I used to sell orange drink in the bleacher seats at Tiger Stadium. And when there was a lull or when there wasn't an opportunity to sell an orange drink, I used to sit up there and I'd grab that orange drink. It was in a carton, and I'd use that as the microphone, and I'd sit there and I'd broadcast the ball game. So I guess that's how I really got started or really had an interest in doing broadcast work.
John Gordon, radio and TV voice for the Minnesota Twins. This Sunday, the Crop Committee invites you to show some hope for the hungry by participating in a 10-kilometer walk for those who hunger. The 6-mile Sunday afternoon walk starts rain or shine at 1:30 at University Park. Sponsors pledge per kilometer with proceeds going towards alleviating world hunger and also portions going to alleviate local hunger. When we return, we'll talk with the executive assistant to the head of the Patents and Trademarks.
The greatest challenge in the world today is the race against hunger. You can help stop hunger one step at a time. Join the crop walk for the hungry in your community. Everyone wins when you walk.
Do that. Okay. Our next guest is the member of the executive staff of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. He serves as a liaison with patent and trademark groups and academic and scientific community. Donald Kelley will be speaking at the 2-day National Innovation Workshop beginning tomorrow entitled Making Invention Pay. Donald Kelley, it's good to have you with us.
Thank you, Tom. It's good to be here.
Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Talking about patents and permits, even last week in the news we had an interesting situation where there was a patent permitted for genetic engineering of animals, talking about our circus friend. Do you find much debate in issuing patents often between benefiting society and someone just trying to make a buck?
That's always a big issue. There's a natural reluctance to endorse new technology at all times. Technology, in fact, is really the driver for the economy, and that's why the patent system is here. The animal patent you talked about, I spoke with Mr. Wood outside. I said, we may need you at the Patent and Trademark Office because we're going to start granting patents on animals. We didn't actually grant a patent on an animal yet, but we issued the policy just this week, in fact, that we would start doing that. It's based on a Supreme Court decision, actually, that occurred back in 1980, the Diamond versus Chakrabarty case, that held that microorganisms are patentable. So that's, in effect, a life form. So we're not really doing anything new at this point, but we're holding that also would cover patents on animals.
Mr. Kelley, does the Patent Office move in a position of simply approving things, or do they move in a position of monitoring what's going on?
We are there to review the patent applications and determine if the inventions are new, if they're non-obvious, if they fall within a statutory category of patentable subject matter. We grant some 70,000 patents each year. Naturally, as a side project there, we also keep track of who the patents are going to, what the patents are on. We keep a massive file of all forms of technology. The U.S. patent file contains some 28 million documents at this point. We've granted 4.5 million U.S. patents, and we have some 12 million foreign patents in the files.
So technology is making a real drastic impact on the number of patents, is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Are we seeing more corporate patents rather than individual patents?
Yeah, the corporate patenting in the U.S., the large corporations seem to be trailing off a little bit for one reason or another. Independent inventors are climbing at the same time. The issue that we're facing right now is that some 46% of all U.S. patents are going to foreigners, and that's what seems to have the media in an uproar at this point.
Have you ever invented anything?
No, not myself. No.
Any ambition to?
Sure, I'd like to be an inventor. I'd like to be a ringmaster. That sounds good too.
Would you?
Sure.
Would you? Do people stumble across inventions, or do they determine that they're going to come up with a creation?
Inventions happen in really three ways. First of all, they would happen as a result of a problem that an inventor addresses and thinks of a solution, or a series of solutions, and tries to decide what would be the best solution out of those. Second, after problem solving, would be a theory, for example, atomic theory that might result in the atomic bomb as an invention. And third, and probably sometimes the funniest way inventions happen is through accidents, and that does happen quite frequently. Some of our most famous inventions have been accidents.
Donald Kelley, we want to thank you for stopping by.
Thank you very much.
And in terms of the conference, that's open to the public the next couple days. Will students be available to talk to you?
Absolutely. I'll be available at the Ramada Inn. We're recruiting at the Patent and Trademark Office. We do need more examiners. We have some 1,300 examiners at this point. We're trying to get microbiologists, electrical engineers. So I'll be at the Ramada Inn and be glad to talk to anybody who wants to come by.
Okay, thanks again for your time, Mr. Kelley.
Thank you.
Donald Kelley, member of the executive staff of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Studio One continues after this.
This week on the Adult Cartoon Show, come for a spin, take a twirl, you're in for a shock, wow! So forget your laundry, and your spring cleaning can wait. Finish your homework, it's time to party. Do the donkey, wiggle and skip, sway your hips, zip lips, chug-a-lug, hot and sassy, make out, ooh, but don't get swept away. Burst and bubble, pop, spit out your troubles, and open the door to the Adult Cartoon Show, all this week on NCTV.
In case you haven't heard, Eddie Money will be performing at the Chester Fritz Tuesday evening, May 5th. The one-show-only concert starts at 8:15. You can call the Chester Fritz for ticket information. Now, Pam Coonan is here to give us one last look at the weather. Pam?
Thank you, Tom. Looking at our 7 a.m. forecast map, that low that I mentioned earlier tomorrow morning will be over northern Montana, with a front extending southward to a weak low in western Nebraska. Temperatures tomorrow morning will range from the upper 20s in eastern Minnesota to the upper 40s in the western part of our region. Tomorrow, we can expect to have a partly cloudy sky. Our temperature will be near 65 degrees, and the winds will be southeasterly at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Saturday, the high will be near 65. Then on Sunday, the high will be 70. Tom?
Okay, thank you, Pam. Did you have a good Easter?
I sure did. Great one.
Good. Helps when the weather's as nice as it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Couple points of business to keep you up on this weekend's entertainment. Step on a Crack will be performing at the Burtness Theater. That will start tonight and run through Saturday. That will be at a 7 p.m. start. Also on Sunday will be a 2:30 p.m. start, so you may want to check that out. Also Sunday, April 26th, the Grand Forks Symphony with soprano Lucy Shelton will be performing. That will also be with the UND Concert Choir. That will be at 4 p.m. at the Chester Fritz on Sunday. On the Channel 3 message board after the close of this show will be an address. If you have any suggestions or comments, please write to us. We'd really love to hear from you. We'd like to thank our guest, Donald Kelley of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, John Gordon, broadcaster for the Minnesota Twins, and our lion tamer friend, Safari Pete Woods. From all of us here at Studio One, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.